You're all set, Scott.
Thanks, Terry. I'm Scott Lee. I'm an addict. I'm actually what they call try-addicted. I'm addicted to everything I tried. I'm just one of those guys, I guess. And what a privilege. Thank you, Terry, for inviting me. Big deal for a guy like me to invite it back anywhere. So it's very special for me. I had a great time with you guys last time. I'm going to have a great time today. Um, I'm going to open as I always do with Lois Wilson, who said in a moment of silence, she invited God to the meeting. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to do that. But in case you don't have a God, let me recommend you borrow mine. It's got a great sense of humor, which we're about to investigate. And you can address him as a God of God's limited understanding and get you off on the right foot. Um, but if you have a God and you're doing good with him, let's just take a moment and acknowledge the presence. I'll meet you back here. Amen. I should tell you also, I have a central nervous system disorder known as essential tremors. My hands shake, and I have an involuntary negative head shake. Every once in a while, my head will just do this, and I don't even know it's happening. So it may look like I disagree with what I'm saying. I don't. Now, I may later. I'm still learning, but don't trust the head shakes tonight. I just need to warn you about that. So I appreciate so much a topic, and I'm going to lead off with what we like to call a page 112 meeting. For those of you who brought your big books to class, you're going to be glad you got them. I'm going to go very fast, and I apologize for that. It's all I know how to do. But for those who don't know, a page 112 meeting, the first three words on page 112 are read this book. And the way that meeting format runs is you give a page number. We're going to start on 15. You give people a moment to find it, and then you read a paragraph or less and talk about why you read it. Now, I'm going to stick to the topic of joy. To me, happiness is close enough. So I'm going to cover both of those off of several pages. Paragraph begins 2/3 of the way down page 15. We commence to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown up among us with which it's a wonderful thing to feel a part. The joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty. The joy of living, even under pressure and difficulty. Page 16, second paragraph, there is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all. I think that's pretty close to joy. Page 83. Oh, come on, we can do it. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. You know, the old freedom was 4 shots of Cuervo Gold or 2 lines. The new happiness is I'm at peace in my own skin and I'm okay with me and nobody's mad. Page 132. Forgive me for this. Dead center of the page. There'd be 17 lines from the top and bottom and 2 words in from both margins. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. Our steps are just suggested, but we insist on enjoying life. That's what this whole thing is about. Pushed me over with a feather. When I got here and they told me that I wasn't going to be able to drink Chivas or Miller beer or take the pills I found in your medicine cabinet and doing those other things that I was doing, I thought the party was over and I was never going to have any more fun. Golly gee whiz, we don't have time till dawn for me to talk about all the things I was wrong about. I'm just going to touch on a few of them. Further down that page, so we think cheerfulness and laughter make for usefulness. That sounds a lot like joy. And we're going to talk a lot about usefulness in a couple of minutes. Top of 133. Second line, we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. And that's not what I've been told. That's not what I've been told at all. That is some of the best news I guess I'll ever get in my whole life. Page 151. I've always loved that number. At 151, Rum, you remember that stuff? You don't have to wait for that. It'll take you downtown right now. Bottom of the page. Now and then, a serious drinker being drawn to moment says, I don't miss it all. Feel better, work better, having a better time. As ex-problem drinkers, we smile at such a salad. We know our friends like a boy whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits. He fools himself. Inwardly, he would give anything to take a half a dozen drinks and get away with them. I'm with him. half a dozen, no consequences, we could talk. But I got not the slightest interest in being a social drinker or a social marijuana smoker. I don't want to do it socially. I want to overdo it. That's all I know how to do. I got two speeds. I got wide open. I got down and locked. I do not have an interim speed. That's one of my problems. But it goes on to say, and one of maybe for someone who's new, maybe the most important sentence in this book. He'll presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. Now wait a minute. Does that say that if I'm going to get this thing, I'm going to find a way to be clean and sober and happy at the same time? That's exactly what that says, if you're new. That is precisely what that says. The alcohol and drugs were never a problem for me. Never for a single second, not once. They were my answer. It made me taller, smarter, better looking. I could talk to the girls, expert on many subjects. I'm expert on subjects I never heard of and can't spell, right? Fantastic dancer. That stuff was never my problem. It was my answer. That's why I couldn't put it down and leave it down. People think giving up alcohol and drugs forever is difficult. I don't think it's hard at all. I've done it over 2,000 times. And the trick isn't, how do I not start again? I think that's the wrong question. The right question is, how do I not want to start again? Very different from not starting. If you're new and you're just hanging on, hang. It's going to be worth it. But that's not the long-term plan. That is not the long-term plan. The long-term plan is happy, joyous, and free. I'm carrying a couple $100 cash. I got 2 credit cards in my wallet, could probably run up to close to 10 grand on the 2 of them if I really hit them hard. I was out today with that in me, on my pocket, on my body. I did not stop at the liquor store, the bar, or the dope man's house. Why? Why not? Because I've laid down the old answer, but I picked up a new answer that's better than the old answer. And as long as I stay invested, involved, immersed in the new answer, the old answer doesn't call my name anymore. I just can't hear it. So I'm not hanging on. If you're new, hang. But hang while you got a sponsor working you through the 12 steps. The steps are not part of the program. They are the program. It's where the magic is. Meetings are important. Don't misunderstand. I'm a big believer in meetings, but the magic happens in the step work. And it happens somewhere between the beginning of step 2 and the end of 9, and it varies by individual. For me, it was somewhere in the middle of step 4 as I got into the forgiveness process, and I'll be talking about that here in a little while. But I'm going to do that sentence again on 152. He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. We can, if you will allow us, teach you to how to be clean and sober and happy at the same time consistently. Are there going to be low spots? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you don't have to go through them together alone. You do not have to go through them alone. Recovery is a team sport. First word, first step, we. It's a team sport. Get on a good team and send them in. They're ready. Send them in. Further down, he says, we've shown how we got out from under. You say, yes, I'm willing. I might be consigned to allow, for I shall be stupid, boring, and glum like some righteous people I see. I got a friend who said his sponsor told him, boring and glum are optional. You may be stuck with stupid. And some of you know his name if I said it, by the way. And so, but have you a sufficient substitute? And the answer is yes, vastly more than that. It's this fellowship. I have craved fellowship all my life. The book says that on page 164. God will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. Crave is a powerful word. I tell my airplane friends they shouldn't use it. They don't know what it means. I tell the airplanes, I say, you want to know what crave means? Hold your breath for the next 10 minutes. For the last 20 seconds that you'll know what crave means. I have craved fellowship all my life. I've never had it. I was the president of my college fraternity. In Southeast Asia, I flew a mission for the United States Air Force that was classified above top secret. They said it was so classified that we weren't supposed to pray about it because God didn't have a high enough security clearance. And there were 40 men in that outfit, 40. And if you'd asked any one of them, who's the epicenter of this squadron, they all would have said Captain Lee. And I looked like I was, but I didn't feel it. I couldn't feel it. I tried. I couldn't feel it. I'd been with you for a while when I found out why. And it's because only the real me, only this part can participate in fellowship. And I'm showing them the mask. And the mask can appear to be in the fellowship, but it can't really participate. Physically, it can be there. But in here where it counts, no. I'm showing it to you. If I thought you needed to hear the two worst things in my inventory, I'd be telling to you right now. I'm going to show you warts and all. And it is such an important thing to do that, because only this part can participate in fellowship. And I'm showing it to you. And you're still here. And you're still here. And this thing is a we thing. It's so powerful when we do it as we. I picked up a chip, a decade or so ago in another state. I didn't know anybody there. And they said, how'd you do it? And it struck me. I knew the answer. I did it somebody else's way. Mine didn't work. I got on a good team, and I've been on a good team ever since. And I'm on a fabulous team right now. And they know what's going on in my life. They know. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Continuing on the topic, page 159, just above halfway down the page. Though they knew they must help other alcoholics if they would remain sober, that motive became secondary. It was transcended by the happiness they found in giving themselves for others. What a strange way to arrive at happiness. Giving of themselves to others. Further down, and this is something for some, if you're new and you're not sponsoring and you're afraid to sponsor, let me share some ideas with you. You're afraid because your sponsor had all the answers and you don't think you have them all. And you probably don't. I think the three most important things I can say as a sponsor are: one, I love you. When I give love, I give God. It is the highest gift. Two, I'm proud of you. I'm on a constant search for ways to tell guys I sponsor I'm proud of them. Constant search to lift their spirits. And the third and most important thing I can say to anybody I sponsor is I don't know. It's okay not to know. If you're new and you're about to sponsor and you think you need to know, you don't. You don't. You're on a team. You're on a team. The last time I had to say I don't know to a guy I sponsor and took it up to my sponsor was 2 weeks ago. I'm carrying a 40-year chip. I don't have all the answers today myself, and I'm not expecting to find them. I don't need them. I'm on a team. I'm on a fabulous team. So don't be afraid of that. But continuing on the theme of you're new, the other thing that probably concerns you about sponsorship is you're afraid you're going to kill somebody. On page 159, we're going to talk about three individuals. They're Dr. Bob, Bill Dodson, who some of you probably know was AA number 3, and Ernie Galbraith, who was AA number 4. We're going to talk about those three individuals. Last paragraph, first sentence. A year and 6 months later, these three had succeeded with 7 more. Those three, with access to a hospital full of alcoholics, in a year and a half, only succeeded with 7. How many missed? How many missed? Yeah, we don't have any numbers on that, but I bet it was a lot more than 7. A lot more than 7. So Scott's rules of sponsorship. Rule 1, if they're ready, you can't do it wrong. If they're not ready, you can't do it right. It ain't up to you. Rule 2, don't take credit for the ones that make it. If you do, you get the blame for the ones that don't. Some of them are going to die and some are going to prison. It takes all the heat off. And taking the heat off is an important piece. One more here, page 163. Very last line. When a few men in this city have found themselves, turning to 164, and have discovered the joy of helping others to face life again. The joy of helping others to face life again. Isn't that an amazing thing? I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. A number of years ago on Christmas Day, we ran out of milk at breakfast. So at halftime, I raced out to the car, roared down the convenience store, ran in the back, grabbed the milk, ran up the counter. And I'll tell you this, if you ever pray that third step prayer once and mean it, blessings will drop out of the sky on you at the strangest times. And that happened to me. And as I raced up to the counter to pay this guy for the milk, my heart opened and saw him. There's a human being, there's a guy, a human, a people, standing behind a counter in a convenience store on Christmas Day. Probably on that day making minimum wage time and a half. Pretty good choice. And I saw him. I thought, man, wow. And my heart opened and my mouth said, man, I bet there's someplace you'd rather be. But you see, my family ran out of milk. And if you hadn't come to work today, I couldn't have bought it. I would like to thank you for working on Christmas Day. And he and I both cried. We both cried. And one of the things I learned was I have never overthanked anybody. It is such an easy thing to do. I had the privilege of flying quite a bit on weekends. I always thank all the airline personnel for working on the weekend so I can get where I'm going or I can get home. Whenever I buy something on the weekend in any sort of retail store or something, I thank them for working on the weekend. I just thank. And I'll tell you, speaking of that, and what happens, back when I had teeth, I used to get my lunch at this particular health food store. And I would pay the nice people. I hold up the bag and say, hey, in the back, thanks for finding out my Big Mac and fries. You guys make a great burger here. Appreciate you making my lunch for me. Sometimes nothing. Sometimes you can visibly see them change. Sometimes it changes the entire room to just say thank you. One of the greatest gifts I got on that, my second wife, Miss Linda, if you don't know Linda Q, she's one of Al-Anon's great speakers. And I got this from her. She said in step 9, you're aware of many of your sins of commission, the things you did that hurt people. What you've missed are your sins of omission. To whom do you owe thanks or more profuse thanks? And it gave me a whole new list on my 4-step. I'm going to share a couple of them with you. My senior year in college, I was in ROTC. I was on the way into the Air Force. And the Air Force got me 30 hours of flying time by a civilian instructor, which sounds pretty gentle, except he's a retired Air Force colonel. And he's mean as a divorce lawyer. And I mean, I swear, he saw immediately that I had talent. And I could have coached it. He wouldn't let me. I'll quote him. Fathead! The pattern altitude's 1,000 feet. It's 1,003. I'm at 1,000. That's right. And you're supposed to be at 1,000. You just barely read 1,003. And he made me fly it to the best of my ability. He set up my Air Force career. I never finished lower than second in anything I did in a cockpit from the Air Force for 5 years. Never lower than second, usually first, because of what he did for me. And I went back and told him that. Thank you. I went back and thanked my major professor in college. I'd have never graduated without it. And I told him that. I made amends to my mother, and there's 2 different sets of amends to mom. The first set is, I wasn't as good a son to you as I could have been. I know I did some damage, and I know it broke your heart. I live in a better life now, and I'd like to repair that damage. Can you tell me how? The end. She does not need to hear my 5th step. If she needs to talk to me about what I did, okay, I need to listen. But me rehearsing what I did that I thought harmed her is not going to help her at all. And so we completed that. After Miss Linda shared with me that other idea, I went to her another day, a year or so later, and said, I want to thank you. You were a great mom for me. Thank you for the freedom. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for the freedom to go when it was time. Thank you for allowing me to make my mistakes. Thank you for all you taught me. Thank you. I can't imagine having a better mother than you were. Thank you. And then I went home and wrote that to her longhand in a letter, and I mailed it to her. My mother died of Alzheimer's in a nursing home, and she didn't have much left at the end. She had that letter. And I would ask you, to whom do you owe man? Who do you owe thank you to? It is a spectacular experience, absolutely spectacular. And I indulge in it as often as I can. What I've discovered is I'm sloshing love and joy all over you. It splatters onto me every time. It can't be blocked. Not that I would try, but it can't be blocked. Some of you have seen me talk before and know that there's over 30,000 people a year been moving to my city for the last decade. And now we got traffic jams. We never had them before. And I used to sit in a traffic jam and just fume. No, Not anymore. Now, when the traffic comes to a stop and it's going to stay stopped, I reach into my vest pocket and I pull out a clown nose and I'm carrying them and I put it on and I reach a little deeper and I pull out my bubbles and I start blowing bubbles out the window to get the other driver's attention. And they see the clown nose and they start laughing. And laughter is contagious. I start laughing. We're still stuck in traffic, but I've turned it into a party. If we stay stopped, I shut it down. I'm carrying probably 50 or better noses and bubbles in the back of my car right now. And I get out and start passing them out. Not everybody will take them, but that doesn't hurt me at all. I'll pass them out. It's great fun. It's great fun. For Halloween, I was the bubble wizard. I got a wizard costume, and I'm passing out bubbles and clown noses instead of candy. The kids love it. They get so excited about it. Or I'm in the grocery store, and there's a mom in there, and she's got 2 kids, and they're good kids. I know they are. They're just having a hard day. I get about 10 feet away from them, and I clown up, and I pull out my bubbles, and one blow of bubbles, and the screaming stops right now. I mean, right now. And children will lock onto bubbles like a good bird dog coming on point. And I go up to the mom, and I say, I'm a stranger. I don't want to give your children anything, but can they have the clown noses and bubbles? Because I got them. And if you see me with fewer than 2 clown noses and 2 bubbles on me, it's because I've given them away and haven't got back to my stash. Right? So what happened in the grocery store? What happened? Those kids had their day lifted. Who else? Mom. Who else? Everyone that saw it. Who else? Me. Me. When I'm sloshing love and joy all over you, it splatters onto me every time. A fellow who I am the great grand sponsor of, if I got the numbers right, I was talking to him one day. He was kind of down in the dumps, so I gave him the assignment for the bubbles. And no, I just gave him bubbles. And I talked to him a week or so later. They've been doing the bubbles. He says, no, I haven't felt like it. I said, I didn't ask you to feel like it. I didn't ask you to feel like it. The day before I got to recover, how I feel is the most important thing in my life. Made all my choices and all my decisions. And I chased it all the way into detox, didn't you? Yeah. So how I feel has no significance in my life at all. It's what I do that matters. How I feel put me in detox. What I do keeps me in recovery. And it is on those days when I don't feel like it that I most need to do it. Because those are the days when I need it. I was told a long time ago, whatever you want for yourself, give to everybody else. Well, I want joy. I want to be thanked. I want to have fun. I practice. For those who know me, know that I play with this all the time. When they ask me how I am, I got a whole series of answers. To somebody in recovery, I say, how are you? I say, well, I don't know. I haven't asked my sponsor yet today. That's a good answer. How are you? Spectacular, improving rapidly. How are you? I'm so good. If it gets any better, I'm going to have to be twins just to accept it all. How are you? If the genie pops out of the bottle and says 3 wishes, I have to tell him to take the afternoon off and see me tomorrow. I got nothing to ask for today. And my favorite one's from a guy named Ed Mutum. If you don't know that name, get one of his talks. Ed was a spectacular individual. And he did this to me one day, and he almost brought me to tears. I said, Ed, how are you? And he said, so much better for seeing you. Yeah. And I would say that to all of you. I'm so much better for seeing you. Yeah. Constant search for ways to spread love and joy. As a matter of fact, it is so constant for me that it's actually part of my morning prayer. And I don't ever miss. I've got some very specific things I never miss in my morning prayer. And one of them is to ask God to bless me, please. I do not miss any opportunities to be of service or spread love and joy. Please. Because that's what I need. Because it works for me. It just simply works for me. Page 61. Two-thirds of the way down the page, you'll see, is he not? 2 lines in a row. I'm going to read the second one. Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can rest, satisfaction, and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? An delusion is a false belief or a psychotic belief. Rest, W-R-E-S-T, comes from the same root word as the word rest. It means to take by tugging and pulling. In Tennessee English, what that says is, I'm so insane that I think if I can get what I want, it will make me happy. I have failed to miss the tens of thousands of times I got what I wanted and was not rendered happy. There's nothing out there I can get that will make me happy. Bring me pleasure for a limited period of time? Absolutely. Happy? The shine will always wear off. My company helped open the first Home Depot. We were manufacturers reps. And their management people started making astonishing amounts of money within the first couple of years. And the purchasing agent in our category ordered a Lamborghini. And they don't say, what color you want, we'll ship it to you. They say, get comfortable. It's going to take us 6 months. So this guy was insane for 6 months. You couldn't bring him a price decrease on his best-selling item for hearing about this dadgum Lamborghini. He got the Lamborghini, and in 2 weeks, he was tired of it. It took 2 weeks for the shine to wear off of a Lamborghini. 2 weeks. Yeah. So the question is, how do I get happy? Bill answered it for us very cleverly on page 8 in his story. And it's rather concealed 2/3 of the way down the page. I was soon to be catapulted into what I'd like to call the fourth dimension of existence. Einstein said the fourth dimension was time. And the time I get catapulted into is right here, right now, between the claps. This very moment, right here, right now. A place where I, as an alcoholic and addict, rarely visit. My mind is off in the past, reliving victories, some of which may have actually happened, or I'm off in the future trying to figure it all out. Plan A and plan B and plan C, and once they find out, what's the other, and I'm never right here, right now, which is where all the action is, the eternal now. So the time I get catapulted into is this very moment, right here with you. I can see about 15 of you, maybe close to 20. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want a forward shake of the head if it's true. Right this moment, right this second. Are you okay right now? Give me a nod if you're okay right this second. All right, thank you. How about now? How about now? Yeah, forget. Right here between the claps. Right here, right now. Laura got it. I see that laugh. Ha, gotcha. So this thing is about being present in my own life. There's one who has all power, that one is God. We find him now. Now, when I find God, it's where? The problem with going into the past and going into the future is that God isn't there. My God is a God of right here, right now. And when I go to a place where God isn't, I'm in a bad neighborhood by definition. I have no business there. There's a single exception. If my sponsor will hold one hand, I believe God will hold the other when we go into my past to do step work. Other than that, no. I need to be right here, right now, where you magnificent people are. You fabulous, fabulous, astounding bestsellers. That's who you are. God wasn't having a bad day in the middle of a long losing streak when he created any of us. He does great work. I came to you believing I wasn't good enough. If you knew who I really was, you would throw me away. I was garbage. And so I've been holding up the mask all my life, pretending to be the guy I think you want me to be. And I'm a different guy to everybody. I've got hundreds of personalities I haven't even used yet. I can appear to fit in anywhere. And the idea of laying down the mask and becoming real was frightening to me because I didn't know how to do it. I came to you, I got sober on my 41st birthday. And I knew 4 things about the men that stood behind the last mask, and only 4. I know I'm a raging heterosexual. I've not seen an unattractive woman since the summer I turned 12 years old. Okay. I'm a heterosexual. I like to fish, drive airplanes, and shoot pool. That ain't much for 41 years. So if you're new and you think you don't know much about yourself, don't worry about it. Most of us get here, the great actors. So I thought, okay, now I can't be who I think you want me to be. I have to be who I want to be. Well, that didn't work either. And the step work is about me becoming real, about becoming who I actually am, who God put me here to be. And God wasn't having a bad day when he created me or any of you. We were just wrong about that. We were just wrong. Sometimes I fall back into my act. It doesn't stay long. When I'm around somebody who's an act, who's not genuine, I don't want to be around them. They trouble me. I'm glad to help them if they'll listen. But your act bores me to death. Come be real. Tell me about the last time you screwed up. Yeah. We're joined at our brokenness, and we're joined at the healing and at the scars. That's where we're joined. And we're joined at the heart, not the mask. The mask can't play. You're going to have to show me this. And when I show you this and you show me this, we get a magnificent thing. We call it fellowship. We call it love. That's what it is. And it is one. So that's the new thing. And when I'm immersed in that, this old answer never calls my name again. Never. I'm going to continue on page 8. He says, so Bill describes the fourth dimension in his own terms. He says, I was to know happiness, peace, and usefulness in the way of life is incredible and wonderful as time passes. Happiness. Absolutely. I get that. Aristotle said what everyone wants is to be happy. And I think he got it. That's exactly right. I want that for me. I want me to be happy. Yes, that's correct. Peace. Yes, I want that for me too. I want it to be calm in here, collected, peaceful. And I want that for myself. The third item on the list is usefulness. And that made no sense because that's for them. That made no sense to me at all until I realized that's not for them. I cannot find a direct route into happiness and peace. The route into happiness and peace is through being useful. When I'm useful, happiness and peace fall out of the sky on me. They are a side effect of attempting to be useful. I just took you through the book, looking up happy and joy. I can give you 5 page numbers that say somewhat I know for sure ain't so. I can give you 5 that say I create my own problems. There are a number of threads that I can chase through the book. The single thread that runs wider and deeper than any other is help others / be of service, which is the exact same thing. I read the book one time up through 164, not even into stories, looking for places where it told me I had to be of service. I counted 52 places. I found more since then. I missed a few. I don't know how many there are. I know there's more than 52. It is a single theme that runs wider and deeper than any other. It is the path to happiness. I don't have to be of service. I just have to try to be of service. Page 77. I don't know what I did last time I was here. Did I bounce around the big book? I'm kind of bad to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I probably covered this one last time, but I was told to read the black part. And then later they got really rough with me and said to read all of the black part, which I think is, well, it's excessive, just to be honest about it, Chanel. It's excessive. But on the second line of page 77, this is not an end in itself. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be a maximum service to God and the people about us. So clearly, my job is not to be a maximum service to God and the people about me. I have no idea how to do that. I wouldn't know which way to turn out of the driveway. To fit myself to be of maximum service. Similar situation on page 85. I'm going to tie them together here in just a second. Maybe. I'm 81 years old, and we may tie them together. We may not. We'll see what happens. 85. It's easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest in our laurels. Well, it's easy to let up must require effort to not let up. We're headed for trouble if we do for alcohol is a subtle foe. We're not cured. Really have a daily reprieve. I look up reprieve. It means stay of execution or delay of punishment. Daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So clearly and obviously, my daily reprieve is not contingent on my spiritual condition. I have no idea what my spiritual condition is. And if I did, I wouldn't be qualified to judge it. My spiritual condition is not something I do, it's something I receive. And I have no business judging it. It's contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. The maintenance of my spiritual condition is the same answer. It's fit myself to be of maximum service. How do I do it? Well, this morning, I opened my day. I didn't have much on for today. It's a Saturday. And I didn't have a lot going on. So I opened with about 45 minutes of prayer and meditation. And then I got a quick shower, poured the first cup of coffee. I read from about a dozen spiritual books. I read 2 pages a day in the big book. You got some daily reading books? Throw the big book in there. Read 2 pages a day. 40 years from now, you'll be able to find what you're looking for. By the way, you'll know what page it's on. I'm accused of having memorized the book. I didn't memorize it. I just been reading it a bit. Now, that's how you find all the new stuff. Have you noticed there's new stuff? Do you know how they do that? It's because I read it with new eyes. The book didn't change, but I read it with new eyes. So this, so so my daily reprieve and my is contingent on the maintenance of it, of me doing these things, meeting count, having a sponsor, talking to the sponsor, telling the sponsor the whole truth, sponsoring some guys, taking meetings into jails and prisons and treatment centers, and letting people in traffic, and passing out clown noses for me. It may not be for you. Passing out clown noses and bubbles, and just being playful, and closing my day with prayer and meditation. I know how to do that, and these other things just fall out of the sky on me. It's where the magic is. I was diagnosed with cancer in my throat in December of 20, and they took my teeth because they're going to do so much radiation to my jaw that they killed my jawbone. It's still here, but it's dead. And the doctor said you can't have live teeth in the dead jawbone. It's eventually going to be a serious problem. So I surrendered to them. They took my teeth. They did so much radiation to my face that my epiglottis, that little valve, is now buried in scar tissue. It's not trustworthy. I'm on a liquid diet. I can't tell a liquid diet. It's just a different liquid. It wakes me up during the night. It's unusual for me to sleep more than 2.5 hours at a time because the scar tissue sticks together and I wake up in pain. I have to sip a little water. None of that matters. I'm still here. And I refuse for it to matter. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't. If you get the chance to trade lives with me, jump on it. Do yourself a big favor. But the piece that I was going for is the first thing I told the men I sponsor is your first thought is wrong as usual. You're thinking Scott's got this life-threatening disease. He does not need my small problems. And you got exactly wrong again. I need to get out of me. And there's no direct route out of me. I need your hangnails, and I need them badly. And you guys were great. Olaf, you guys were absolutely great. I went through 6 weeks of radiation and chemo. And they brought me their small problems. And every time they did, I was able to get out of myself. It's where the magic is. I don't know if I sang it for you last time. Have you all heard the Alcoholic Addicts theme song? I'm from Nashville. I'm going to sing it for you. Me, 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 me. Did you recognize it? The page 62 says, in the dead center of the page, above everything. I've always wondered if that was important. Above everything, we must be rid of the selfishness or it kills us. Sort of a mediocre reason, don't you think? Yeah. So how do I do that? By taking contrary actions. As I told my grand sponsee, I didn't ask you to feel like blowing bubbles. I asked you to blow them. My sponsor didn't ask me to feel like doing a 4-step. He asked me to do one. He didn't ask me to feel like going to a meeting every day for the first year. He asked me to go. Get out of the how I feel business. And what I've discovered is when I do what I'm supposed to do, I feel really good. I'm on an absolute high right this moment, receiving the gift of trying to be of service to you. What opens me up to receive is my attempt to give. To those who've had the experience, no explanation is necessary. To those who have not had it, the explanation may not make a lot of sense to you. All I can tell you is take a run at it. Give it a try. See what happens. See what happens when you add to your morning prayer. God bless me, please. I don't miss any chances to be of service or spread love and joy. I'm going to go down this rabbit hole too. I may not be back, but I'm going down this one. I discovered the source of all anger. I know where it all comes from. For me, it comes from being sure I'm right. Never had been angry while I'm absolutely certain I was right. And being right comes from having passed judgment. So I have to judge to be right, to be angry. So although anger is a problem, it's not the problem. The problem is judgment. Because judgment is anger's grandmother. If I don't judge, I don't get right. If I don't get right, I don't get angry. And I discovered that a number of years ago, and I added that to my morning prayer too. Ask God to bless me. I do not judge any situations as good or bad. I can say I like him or don't like him. I can't judge him as good or bad. And I don't get to judge any people. And I ask him to bless me, please, that I don't. The day I got this information, the day it came to me in a meditation, like a blinding flash of the obvious. I was going around, I was 60 pounds overweight, and I was judging people all day for being heavy. I was in my 70s. I wore a ponytail. I was judging people for having a funny haircut. That's just, I did it all day long. And then one day I saw it. And it occurred to me, I don't think God wants me judging. That's not why I'm here. And then I discovered that judgment is what causes my anger. So I added that to my morning prayer. Blessed be the please that I not judge. I'm not doing as well on that as I am on some things, but I'm on the all-star team. And you only got to get it right one time in 3, and you're on the all-star. By 333, you're on the all-star team. And I'm doing way better than that. Way better than that. I rarely get angry because I've added that. One of the things I've discovered too, and this is a rabbit hole, I can't trust my motives. Page 60, about 6 lines on the bottom. On that basis, are almost in collusion with something or somebody, even their own motives are good. I hear people saying, check your motives. The book says that won't work, and it won't. And I think good motives may be the most evil thing that's ever come to planet Earth. And I'm not playing with you. I really mean that. There's a guy in Moscow, Russia today who believes he's got a good motive for starting a war. Tens of thousands of people dying. Millions of people's lives being devastated. He's sure he's got a good motive. Adolf Hitler in the 30s and 40s killed millions of people. His motive, he was going to purify the race. He believed he had a good motive. I'm told that Al Capone was asked by a newspaper man why he was involved in all the illegal activities. Capone said, I was just trying to get people things they wanted. Capone had a good motive. I have to get out of the motive business. It's good to have good motive. I'm not against, but I can't trust it. Cliff Roach, if you don't know that name, get one of the Clifford's talks. He pointed out that the 12 traditions are a set of principles designed to protect the AA from my very best motives. That's what our principles do, is they protect us from our motives. Step 12 does not say, and had good motives in all our affairs. Practice these principles. So principle always trumps motive. Motive governs outcome. Motive says I can lie, cheat, steal, and make it come out the way I know it should come out. It's one of the ways I play God. The biggest problem, and my country is suffering under it right now, this very day, is if I believe I have good motive and you oppose me, you clearly have bad motive and you're a bad person. You deserve me to hate you, and I do. My country is literally suffering under that right this moment. I have to get out of trusting my own motives, and I got to quit judging yours. Quit judging yours. It's pointed out to me that it's possible that everybody I run into is doing the very best they can with what they got. And if they are, they're all ahead of me. I've been getting by on cute and clever for a long time. And I've never had it all on the road. And I've never worked this program to the best of my ability either. I work it to the best of my willingness. And there are days when that ain't real thick. Yeah. And I need to step out of the judgment business. And occasionally I find myself judging. I'll admit that. It says on page 87, pause. It says pause when agitated or doubtful. And when you hear that quoted, you never hear the doubtful part, because we're alcoholics and addicts and we're not right very often, but we're never in doubt. Maybe I should just speak for myself. But anyway, so it says pause from agitated. I think God's waiting patiently for me in the pause. And I find myself agitated. Father, I've judged again. I'm angry. Please take away this judgment and anger and grant me sadness and love. My experience has been anger and love never travel together. They can't. They're mutually exclusive. Sadness and love travel well together. And when I go back to whatever situation we're talking about, if I go back with anger, it's going to get ugly. We're going to have one of these, and I'm going to wind up making amends. And they can't hear me. When I go back with sadness and love, not only can they hear me, and I hear them, I don't wind up making amends. And serving the God of love is not a part-time job. And anytime I judge, I've stepped away from serving the God of love. It is really that simple for me. That's changed my life. That commitment to doing these things I'm talking to. Am I batting 1,000? No. But I'm doing so dramatically much better than I ever did before. You hear the word, we talk about spiritual progress. I'll define it for you. Progress is making the same old mistake a little less often, or making a new and finer quality of mistake. Anything beyond that's perfection, and that's simply not my assignment. And if it's not my assignment to be perfect, it must not be yours either. It must not be yours either. So I've discovered God's will. God's will is for me to make mistakes. I don't think He put me here to be perfect. If you think you're supposed to be perfect, I wish you good luck. You are going to need a lot of it. But if it's not my job to be perfect, what's my job? My job is to make mistakes. They've sent the right guy. And they've been, a mistake is just an invitation to a lesson. The evidence is if I learned the lesson, wouldn't have made a mistake. It's just an invitation to a lesson. And I can't make a mistake so ugly that God can't turn it into wonderful. That's who I am. It's who He is. It is really that simple. It's just really that simple. So here's the learning process as I understand it today. One, make a mistake. Now, they tell me we learn from our mistakes. It's not true. Guys like me don't. If we learn from our mistakes, nobody I'm looking at's been arrested more than once. Good luck. Yeah, right. I'm like the dog that went on the rug. What did he learn? Nothing. When he start learning, when you rubbed his nose at, me and the dog have that in common. We prefer to have our nose rubbed in it. It works better for us. So here's the learning process. Let's understand it today. One, make a mistake. Two, be notified. I don't always know I made a mistake. Three, own the mistake. Yeah, fellas, that was me. I did that. And if they only know 80%, I got to tell them the other 20. That's how I own it. Four, consult a spiritual advisor about how to make the amend. Usually, not always, there's an amend to be made. Six, embrace the lesson. The lesson comes from making the amend, not the making of the mistake. That's why the amends process is so important. It's where I learn. Seven, share the lesson. That's what really sets it for me. Eight, when I share the lesson, I have to say I made a mistake. If I just share the lesson, I'm preaching and nobody wants to hear it. When I stand as a sinner beside a sinner, he can hear me. 9, make the next mistake. I've discovered God's will is for me to screw up. Can you feel the freedom in that? Yeah, I always thought I was supposed to be perfect. I don't think so anymore. But that's only half the freedom. The other half is you have my permission to make mistakes. Let me define you. So all my family members, all the guys I sponsor, Vladimir Putin, some Americans I think have got their heads up and locked. Those of you who got your driver's licenses out of Cheerios boxes, everybody, you got my permission to make mistakes. Because if I'm going to be upset by what you do, I'm a prisoner of your behavior. I don't want to be a prisoner anymore. So the freedom is I have my own permission to make mistakes, and you have my permission to make mistakes. And those two things free me to walk the world. And when the clown nose isn't on, you can see it on me. That's what the bow tie is about. I can't see this thing. It's not for me. Every day, at least one person looks at that bow tie and grins. Actually, usually on a typical day when I'm out and about, it'll be 20 or 30 of them. And usually at least one will comment on it. Yeah, that's part of that doing that. You'll notice the bow tie is not tied perfectly. There are two reasons for that. Winston Churchill was asked one time why his bow tie was always askew. And he said, because I want you to know I tied it. Because the clip-ons are always perfect. So I want you to know I tied it. And the second reason I don't tie it perfectly is because some of you ladies just can't stand it if it's askew. So, can I fix that tie for you? Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Sure. You surely can. Yeah. So it's actually bait. Okay. So, you got it? Now I can teach you guys how to tie one of these. So when I was, last time I was between wives, I'm between wives again, or I may be completely out of the wife business. I'm hoping I'm between. But the last time I was between wives, got a picture out of my wallet, picture of me taken when I was about 4 years old, blew it up 2 feet wide by 3 feet tall. You see it over my shoulder here. Beautiful little boy in a straw hat. Not too long after that picture was taken, some things happened. That boy should never happen to any child. Not here to talk about that because I've been through the forgiveness process in step 4. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please find out what I'm talking about. But through that process, I've been emotionally disconnected from everything they did. Those are now just facts out of my past. I was also born in Georgia. They're just facts. But I was looking at that kid, and I wondered one day, who would he have become? Who would that beautiful little child of God become if those things had not happened? And if he'd received all the nurturing and love and guidance he clearly deserved, who would he have become? And I got my answer. The answer is that's my assignment. It is my assignment to become the man he would have become. And I serve the God of love, who's bigger and stronger than all that stuff that happened, all the stuff they did and all the stuff I did. bigger and stronger than all of that. The only question is, am I willing to do the work? And so far I am. And I've become that man. And I want to describe that little boy to you. And I am reading this. He awakened every morning excited just to be alive. That happened to me today. He was fascinated by simple things like sunrises and butterflies. He loved everyone. He was completely unconcerned with the future because he had total faith in those who provided for him. He was in touch with his emotions. He never used bad language. He laughed easily and frequently. He was open to learn. He judged no one. He was happy, joyous, and free, living in each present moment as it came. That's my assignment. And I'm very close to living that 100% of the time. I don't think I'll ever get to 100 because one of those is to learn. So I'm still learning. We invited God, and I'm pretty sure he came. If you borrowed my God and you got touched, let me recommend you do that again. If you invited the God of your understanding, do that each time there's a quiet time before a meeting. Invite God into the meeting. And at least mentally take your shoes off because your feet are on holy ground, and conduct yourself in a manner you think will make him welcome. My great teacher, Don Pritz, is misquoted. People say he said, God's a gentleman. He never said that. He said he learned to treat God like a gentleman. Gentlemen don't go where they're not invited. They don't stay where they're not made welcome. This morning, I invited God in to run my life as CEO, manager, boss. I use all of those words. And I have conducted myself so far this day, all day, in a manner I thought will make him welcome. I've done that here with you. I thanked him for you this morning. I did a love meditation and sent love to all of you this morning before first light. And I'll thank him for you again tonight. And I'd like to thank him right now for opening my heart and making this such a great experience for me. And I love you so much, I almost can't stand it. Thank you. I'm out of time.